Hey, good morning, and thank you everybody for joining us for this month's system webinar. Appreciate everybody making the time, and I think we have a pretty robust presentation for you guys today, and some interesting data points that we're anxious to share with the system. I guess the first thing that we got to start with, of course, is a proper happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there in the system. Of course, that picture is what my wife got me for Valentine's Day. I can only hope and expect that everybody else whose spouse truly knows them was able to get them exactly the same. So I can pass on the box of chocolates, but nobody around here is passing on the box of pizza. All that being said, happy Valentine's Day. I hope everybody has some wonderful plans with their loved ones out there on the system. So all kidding aside, let's jump into the agenda. We've got a pretty packed one today, and we'll try our best to keep it as we did last time to about an hour. We've got a system update, and we're going to focus in on some sales analysis that we've been working on. I'm pulling out some good POSNet data, taking a look at sales performance, where we're seeing lift, where we're seeing decline, and give us all some data-driven insights into what may be working and maybe what we have to continue to focus on. We'll walk through a GEM program update. We've got Jordan Sievers again from FMG. One of these days I'll get my acronyms correct, to walk us through some data points that I think are supportive of some of the sales trends we're seeing in the system. Marketing update, a system COGS report from Jennifer Glacia. Then, of course, at the end, as we always do, our open forum opportunity to communicate with questions. So as we jump in here, let me give the system update and kind of walk through some data points. So as we look at this, what I wanted to do is kind of preface this by saying that as I think it's a wide known fact that we have some data challenges in terms of getting accurate data that we can absolutely count on. This is so I can set the context of where this data came from. This data came from a little over 150 different POSNet stores. So could the potential exist that data is skewed one way or the other, or otherwise influenced? We've certainly been influenced over the past 7 days by some very challenging weather across the Pacific Northwest, throughout California. Yesterday we had up to a foot of snow in Chico, Redding. So all very abnormal type conditions, even for places like Seattle and Oregon restaurants. So this data was actually through through Tuesday. So it could be negatively influenced by yesterday's weather. However, it shouldn't be overly significantly different. And certainly the point is going to be relevant. So overall, as a system, we're up 2.2% so far for the year in same-store sales. That's pretty obvious. And that's typically the number that we would communicate. However, what we've tried to do is dig in a little further, because that 2.2% number certainly doesn't tell the entire story. So as we looked a little bit deeper and started slicing the data, the impact coming from different areas. As we look into our sales vertical across, which is the top chart, we see that even though same-store sales is up across the system 2.2%, we have our dine-in business, unfortunately, is down 2.4%. Carryout, which we would suspect, although we're driving and kind of trying to get some better data, is being driven by not only our own internal advertising, but also by stores activating on third-party delivery, is up 7.9%, which is really driving the sales engine at the moment, and delivery up 0.5 point as well. So pizza away from restaurant is up, pizza in restaurant down. That's the overall takeaway from that top chart. When you break it a little differently and say, okay, what time of day are those sales coming from? We see a very interesting set of data. We see that, yes, what makes up that 2.2% lift in same-store sales performance is a 21.5% lift in sales at lunch and a 5.6% decline in same-store sales at dinner. And this is same-store sales, so it's comparing dinner time sales this year against dinner time sales in 2018 over the same time period. So it's a true same-store sales number. So interesting data. But we wanted to dive a little bit further and say, okay, let's dig into this a little bit more. That's sales. What are transactions? Transactions overall, even though we're up 2.2% in sales, transactions are down 3, a flat 3, which is obviously concerning, and that's truly the health of business. We asked the same questions around transactions that we did around sales. Where is that being driven from? Not surprisingly, it's following the same pattern. It's following sales, where dine-in traffic is down 7.2%, carry-out traffic up 5%, which is obviously a nice number to see, and delivery traffic down 0.8. The average ticket is being driven. The average ticket is being driven. When you look at the day part, you see a similar trend there as well. You see traffic at lunch up 13.2%, but unfortunately, and this is where we really kind of dive into things, traffic at dinner time is down 9.4%. So pretty concerning. And that's what, when you lump them together, kind of nets out to be that traffic loss of 3%. But we dove even further than that. And we wanted to take a look at okay, well, at lunch, where is that 21% lift in comp sales at lunch really coming from? And we see it's coming from really across the board at lunchtime, with some other areas that are a bit more pronounced. So we see it with dine-in business being up 13% at lunchtime. Really, I have no doubt being driven by a more value-driven lunch message. We see carry-out up a whopping 35% and delivery up 23%. So there's a great demand, clearly, at lunchtime for our product, just not as much for dine-in as it is for pizza away from store. Dinner is the opposite story, and we clearly see where we have a challenge. We see dinner time sales down 5.6%, with dine-in down nearly 13% in sales, carry-out up, delivery down. So it's pretty concerning to see that much of a decline in dine-in business. When you look at transactions, again, tells the same little story, but just wanted to represent these. We see lunchtime transactions up very nicely at 13%. Carry-out transactions up 31%, delivery 29%. Dine-in transactions only up 3.8%. So a moderate increase in dine-in transactions. But dinner is really the telling story when it comes to looking at our transaction count. Overall, down 9.4% transactions at dinner time, with 17% coming at dine-in, a traffic loss. You see carry-out, you see delivery. So what are the takeaways from that? What I think we have to take a look at is, why might this be happening? The overall message we have on TV and across the board is not necessarily a lunchtime or carry-out focused message. It's a little more neutral in terms of day part and a little more neutral in terms of time of day. So we have to also just look deeper and say, well, is there something else going on here? And none of these data points that I'm sharing today are necessarily 100% concrete. We've nailed it. Here's the exact challenge that we have. They're simply data points that we're presenting today for everybody on this webinar to consider, and to consider what those data points are in relevance to your own restaurant, as we are certainly doing for ours and as we are doing for the entire system. So as we look at that pattern of traffic, that pattern of sales, and what we see, obviously, just to remind, is a significant decline in dine-in business, especially at dinner time, and that dinner time day part overall declining versus a nice surge in lunch. Why may that be happening? So we dug into the data that we have associated with the GEM program, the Guest Experience Monitoring Program, and took a look at the system performance over the course of the past year. And every single metric, main metric that we measure, is better at lunch than it is at dinner. And the guests are clearly communicating that the dinner experience is lacking. And there's a couple of different data points that I would throw out there just to pay specific attention to. One is that overall value score. When you see an overall value score at dinner at a 42 mark, that is really below category, as you'll see in another slide a little bit later on. A 57% value score that we see at lunch, although not where we want it to be, certainly not in an extreme danger zone like that dinner time value perception that we're getting from the guests. That intent to return so much higher at lunch, atmosphere is better, cleanliness is better, appearance of staff and the staff friendliness, all better metrics at lunch than they are at dinner. So we looked a little bit further into operational metrics that we have and said, okay, let's also look at the day of the week. And as you can see here on this chart, the weekends flank the middle where we have the bell curve. So in other words, we perform a lot better during the main lunch periods of the week than we do on the weekend. Or said differently, when the lights are shining the brightest and we're the busiest, the guests are getting an experience less than that of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So pretty concerning. It isn't a surprise necessarily to see Tuesday spike with so many of our restaurants obviously doing family nights, offering deals, creating a family night type experience on Tuesdays. It doesn't shock at me or anybody else, I think, to see our overall satisfaction, our perception of value, and certainly our friendliness be the absolute peak in all three of those categories, peaking out on Tuesdays. And most likely it's because our teams are they know family night is coming, so they're prepared and they've got their A game going. We're offering deals, so the perception of value, that value equals experience divided by price. On Tuesdays, the price is influenced. Therefore, the experience divided into price creates a value score that is a little higher than we are seeing the rest of the week. But more than anything, I just think our teams are prepared for it. So what can we do to address some of these guest communicated operational challenge? One, you have to evaluate your own restaurant to see where you are at with your guests. And if you don't know these metrics for your own store or stores, any of us can certainly help you through that to help you understand how you can get similar data specific to your restaurant or restaurant. But what to do? Certainly focusing on the peak business periods, weekends, and nights are absolutely critical. The same pattern applies to the dinner, you see here, the dinner day part, as you saw on the previous slide, and then days of the week, that when we're the busiest and when we should be the most on our A game, it's clearly being communicated by the guests. That's where we have some opportunities to deliver a better experience. The second thing to do, leverage the GEM data, as I mentioned before, and then just look at the basics of how to influence these results. Number one, making sure we've got, the old cliche of aces in their places. Do we have our best people working lunch on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday? Or do we have our best people working peak periods on Friday, Saturday, Sunday? And then certainly the use of checklists. There's a lot, if you really dig into some of the comments around the GEM data, comments that we get back from guests about their particular experience, we have a lot of easy correctable errors that take place. Whether it's they ran out of this or they ran out of that or they ran out of a certain topping on the salad bar, the use of checklists, the use of systems helps create a little bit more of a mindset in the restaurant, of course, of a zero defect mentality, and allows us to prevent some of those mistakes from happening and getting perceived by the guests. So as we take a look at all this data, and Warwick and I have spent a ton of time, Warwick and Clara and I have spent a ton of time reviewing all this to glean what we can out of this data to help us navigate through this and adjust course if needed. We've come up with about 5 next steps that I think are important for us all as a system to continue to discuss. One is we need to absolutely continue to make data-based decisions. So leveraging some of the data points that you just saw today absolutely influences strategy, both from an operations as well as from a marketing and other supportive, systems, process, technologies, and so on and so forth. The second piece is we've got to continue to test thoroughly and deploy offers to the consumer that are competitive. The guest is clearly communicating to us through the data points above that when we incentivize them, when we provide a value, they will come. And we've got to make sure that we are testing offers and deploying offers that absolutely put us in a position to compete and win consumers from our competition, and there is a ton, but also are mindful of the economic models of our business. We're continuing to do that. We've got to correct the dinner experience. So we've all got to take a look at our restaurant and say, hey, what is it at dinner that we can go course correct on to create a different environment? Is it as simple as having a person on the floor touching tables and creating more interaction opportunities with the consumer? I can bet you a dime to a dollar that would have a huge positive influence on the overall perceived experience. Is it something where we've just got to do a better job in the mid-shift of setting up restaurants and cleaning up restaurants? Do we have to pay more attention to bussing tables during the peak dinner time period? Or is it probably all of that? Well, while we look at what we need to do to correct the dinner experience the guest experiences, we've got to absolutely keep on driving value while we do that. That means don't be afraid to incentivize guests to come in and dine in with us. I'm not talking about all facets of dinner. I'm talking specifically about our dine-in dinner experience. We've had several meetings lately, but we've got to absolutely finish the tech investment to ensure and enable a more seamless guest experience to make sure that we're never losing guests and we're learning more about the guests, about where we can market to them in a very much more efficient manner. And then last but not least, I think what this is also clearly signifying to us is that the image upgrade programs that we are just about to launch and work on, and some people already are, is absolutely critical to improve the overall dinner experience, that the image of the restaurants. And I think it's absolutely critical, and what the guest is communicating to us, is that we've got to signify positive change within our business to remind the guests that we are relevant in a really competitive environment. And you'll see as we go through the rest of the presentation, as we now launch the Rising Legends positioning with the uniforms and all that, we're doing a lot of these things now, and we expect to see, of course, some really positive results. So some very interesting data that I think is pretty telling and should open a few eyes, and I'm sure will spark some conversation across the system. What also sparks some conversation is whenever we like to recognize a few of our own. So as you all know, these cards are available to anybody who wants them. Just talk to your FBC, and we're happy to get them out to you. But recognizing a couple of different people for a round of applause. The first one is Ashley Solis, who is the area manager for Shelby Job out in Las Vegas. But she's been crushing it and just doing a really good job driving same-store sales, and has been back and forth and all around, helping us get the new Frisco, Texas location open down in Frisco, Texas, just north of Dallas. So I know Ashley personally. She's a rock star, and I'm thrilled to have her in the system. She's great. Ray from number 336 Occidental, the FBC said, thank you for being all-around team player and providing service with a smile. Clearly that's important, and you can tell just right from the picture that smile comes natural, and sure is something that's not forced. So awesome picture right there, Ray, and keep up the great work. And John from 306 Street Boulevard in Concord, just great job making sure the food safety standards are being followed. So it's one of the key points that I know our corporate team has been focused on, and seeing some nice strides in terms of cleanliness and focus on quality. And John's really led the way in his restaurant out in Street Boulevard. So great job to all those people getting recognized, and we'd love to have even more of these on the next webinar. So with that, it brings us to a little bit of an update on our GEM program, and I'm going to try my best to unmute Jordan Sievers from SMG and have her come on to the line. So Jordan, can you hear me?
Hi, Jeff. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Awesome. I can, yes. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, thank you all so much again for having us today. We're excited to provide some program updates and hopefully provide you a little bit more actionable guidelines that you can start taking from the GEM program. So Jeff, I'll let you go ahead and go to the next slide. Perfect. So this slide probably looks a little bit familiar. It's something we reviewed on the last webinar call. Again, just kind of wanted to reiterate where Roundtable is falling amongst our other SMG competitors. So when compared to the SMG benchmark, we're still seeing Roundtable scores falling below those averages for both fast casual concepts and pizza concepts. We've spoken with Lisa and Jeff a lot lately and know that staff friendliness and restaurant cleanliness are two of kind of your main focuses right now. So really wanted to keep those two measures in mind as we're looking for ways that you can action off of the GEM program insight. Additionally, we also looked at this slide last time, but kind of condensing it down to specifically those restaurant cleanliness and staff friendliness measures. We have a really large variety in performance across both of these measures. So to kind of quickly brief everyone on this slide, the top green dot is your best performing location. Additionally, the red is the worst. Ultimately, our goal here is to close that gray box in the middle, which is representing your 95% range, and move everything up. So that's to see the gray boxes shrink, and additionally, all those numbers move up the chart there. So really looking at ways that we can streamline and create consistency across all locations on both of these measures. Wanted to just quickly trend out restaurant cleanliness. While there's plenty of area for improvement still, restaurant cleanliness is improving month over month. So when we started the GEM program back in June, you were sitting at about a 52%, and today we're at 62%. So making some great progress, but still plenty of room for improvement. So what are ways we can look at improving these restaurant cleanliness satisfaction for customers? First-time customers are slightly less satisfied with restaurant cleanliness when they dine in. So overall, for those first-time customers, we are seeing a lower overall satisfaction. And then additionally, when they're a dine-in versus a carry-out customer, their satisfaction with restaurant cleanliness drops even lower. That makes sense. They're spending more time at your location, more time to kind of observe, and greater chance for a lower satisfaction, but still something to keep in mind. Additionally, we're focusing on the weekends to improve those restaurant cleanliness measures. The pie chart there on the left shows you that really about half of your customers are coming in Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And no surprise there, that's also when those restaurant cleanliness scores tend to be the lowest. Additionally, Monday is kind of a straggler there at also 57%. So really keeping in mind the higher traffic days of the week and monitoring cleanliness in your locations on those days. In addition to day of the week, we broke this out by day part, and I believe we looked at this last time as well. But just as a reminder, with dinner being that busier day part, we're seeing those restaurant cleanliness satisfaction scores drop at the same on the same note. Excuse me, sorry. So really, again, just monitoring those days of the week and the times of day to work on improving those customer satisfaction. Taking the same look, but now at staff friendliness. Again, we're doing far better than we were in June, going from a 65% to a 76%, but want to just continue to see this trend line move up and up as we focus on staff friendliness. And again, breaking it out by day of week, kind of a different story here. Staff friendliness goes up on Tuesdays. Jeff and Lisa told us that a lot of you have family nights on Tuesdays, so wondering if kind of the family atmosphere there really improves that perspective for the customers. Additionally, it is lowest for, again, that Saturday, Sunday, and Monday mark. So really keeping those weekend days and into Monday in mind. Now looking at dine-in versus carry-out, our customer satisfaction with staff friendliness is dropping when that is a carry-out order. You really don't have quite as much time to connect with those carry-out customers, so really encouraging your team to engage and interact with those individuals that are taking their order to go, to make sure that they still have a positive interaction with your team. And additionally, we really want to enforce this measure because customers who are highly satisfied with staff friendliness are actually 2.4 times more likely to be highly likely to return. So really, to just kind of, the main takeaway here is the more we can improve their satisfaction with staff friendliness, the more likely they are to return. And really, that's a pretty significant increase at that 2.4 points increase. So really wanting to drive home that when you're friendly, that is what is going to be, granted, a piece of the puzzle, but a main factor in getting those customers to come back to your location. So in order to make sure that everyone can kind of monitor and continue to focus on these two measures, we are adding to the reporting website what we call our areas for focus section. Eventually we'll get to the point where these will be dynamic, and that means that they will be customized to your individual location. So your areas for focus, or AAFs as we call them, could be different than other locations. For now, though, we're going to focus on those two measures: restaurant friendliness, and staff friendliness. So we'll make sure that you all are updated when this is on the reporting website, but keep a lookout for this. It will be coming, and that'll just kind of help you better monitor these two specific measures.
Awesome. Thanks, Jordan. Appreciate your time as always. Really do. It's a great data.
Jeff.
Good. Erin, are you on? Erin. Make sure we can get Erin Walter on here. Let's try it like this.
Ah, there you go.
There we go.
Sorry, I heard her say unmuted. Oh, no problem. Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to walk us through some exciting slides. We have some great things going on in marketing. First off, wait, yep, there you go. We are very thrilled to have a new team member on our team. Jenna Owens started on Monday, so she's 4 days in to the Roundtable Pizza business and is really just this week soaking it all in, learning as much as humanly possible so we can get her going on some projects that she's going to own. We're focused on training Jenna for grand openings. She's going to own that process from beginning to end. We have an exciting year in 2019 and beyond, and so having a true grand opening program and platform is going to be very important as we open more and more locations. And so Jenna is really focused on that. She's also going to be working with Warwick and myself and Katie on things like our email program and really helping revitalize and revamp that, as well as working closely with us on website and online ordering and really just becoming an expert in those areas of our business. So we're thrilled to have her on the team. There's her contact information as well. You'll probably start to see her as we email back and forth with you guys in the field. You'll probably see her on emails and some email introductions as she takes ownership on some of these projects. So welcome, Jenna. Let's talk a little bit about National Pizza Pie Day. What a great celebration and a wonderful day that we had on last weekend, February 9th. As you can see, our system sales were up 18% for National Pizza Pie Day. So truly a huge success, and thank you all so much for participating. You can see there, as this is sent to Slice, and you can access this webinar later, there's a link to all of the television hits. So we had some great hits in local markets, some franchisees that provided pizzas to local television stations, and everyone was obviously so excited to have Roundtable Pizza. You can see, too, the total online impressions. We had so many eyes on our brand and our photography and our logo, and so many people saw this. So that's basically what this is saying. So you can see the breakdown there for platform about where we kind of had the most impressions, but very excited about just the reach and the partnership with the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. On the next slide, you'll see just a breakdown of some of the cheers and the round of applauses that we got on social from our consumers. So many people were so grateful. A lot of people shared touching stories about, happy to come in and donate to this cause because they had a loved one who was affected by leukemia or lymphoma. So again, just a wonderful, local store marketing and national effort, a good for all for the community, and something that people really appreciate. And on top of that, sales were up 18% for the day. So all around, a great success, and we thank you all so much for participating. Next, we've just been a little busy over here working on this new Rising Legends launch. It is so exciting. There are so many wonderful things that are headed your way in the next upcoming weeks and months with the new logo and the new brand look and feel. There was a marketing execution guide that was sent out on February 4th from Lisa. There's a ton of information in there as well. Of course, if you have any questions, you can reach out to the team too, but I wanted to call that out because there's a lot of details in there that might help answer any questions. But the new logo and brand will be in store on POP that's set to go live here in the next few weeks on the website, and all of these exciting things. You'll see a lot later in this presentation, but you're going to start seeing this new logo in less than a week on to Wednesday, February 20th. So we're thrilled about that.
So as we get into the timeline for some of the Rising Legends element, I'll have Aaron walk through most of it. We've got a couple of big chunks of releases or data or toolkits that are coming your way very, very, very shortly. One is, we've already sent this out to a number of folks, but our brand guidelines book, the book that ends up becoming the kind of the bedrock for how to use the marks, what's acceptable, what's not, color scheme, Pantone colors and all that, that is complete. And that is in use by all the relevant agencies and players involved, and we will soon release that to the overall system. That's really exciting to get that work complete. The second big phase is the design and development book. So we've reviewed its current state with a couple of franchisees over the past week, and we actually will be, I'd say, about 95% complete with that project by this coming Friday, or I guess that's tomorrow. So what will be in that design and development book is a full resource library where every single touch point in the new look and feel is coming from, current pricing structure, sourcing, size, application, cut sheets, the whole ball of wax. So if you're looking to hand something to a contractor in order to get activated on the look and feel, a renovation project to your restaurant, as some of you already have been working with us and engaged with our construction team and SRG directly over the past few weeks, that book will be basically complete by tomorrow. The only elements that are still I'll say missing or still works in progress are a couple of custom fabricated elements such as the chandelier, and I think it was the light box, the Knights Helmet light box that was finishing being sourced. But we're basically there. One reminder as you see that, and just to reiterate the point we've been making since the very beginning with this particular project, is that for every element that is an upgrade option, there is a lower cost option as well. So for example, we have a vinyl flooring that looks beautiful. We also have a ceramic tile wood looking flooring that looks beautiful as well. We have a laminate countertop spec'd out at a certain price, and we have a granite option as well at another price. So for every option that we have out there, there is either an upgrade option or an alternative, lesser expensive option, as we said we would do. Again, keeping that kit apart mentality, I think as you'll see in the book, we're very competitive when it comes to the price of the materials that have been spec'd for this particular project, but also want to afford people the opportunity to make or investment spend on certain finishes, still aligned with the brand as they so choose. So very excited to get this D&D book complete by this Friday. And I won't name names, but a couple of franchisees that we've shared it with already and who have kind of touched and looked at materials, I think I can speak for them saying that they were pretty pleased and satisfied with where we landed and all of this. So so excited to get that going, and it'll certainly be a work in progress, but it certainly is a huge step forward in the process here. Erin, you want to take it from there and kind of go through the rest?
Absolutely, thank you. Super exciting news there. So starting next Wednesday, as I mentioned, you will begin to see the Rising Legends look and feel out there. On February 20th, our new website launches. And then shortly thereafter, within the next week, between the 20th and the 25th, you'll start to see our television commercials. Digital and social ads will all be updated with, new Facebook cover photos and all of that featuring the new logo, the point of purchase materials in your store, which will be shipping early next week. So Rising Legends will be out there. In March, you'll see a Rising Legends press release. We're working on finalizing that, so we'll let the public know what's really going on. Very exciting stuff there. And then in April, you'll start to see things like your Velasas and your direct mail pieces being updated, packaging, so pizza boxes and cups, gift cards will be updated with the new look and feel. And then we're also working very closely with UMI for all of the items on the portal to be rebranded. We're starting with grand opening materials as well as the items that are ordered the most at the franchisee level, and then we'll slowly go from there, updating everything else. But just so you know, that's all being worked on right now, furiously, behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I'm going to now...
Yeah, I was going to say, just to reiterate, so really every touch point, whether it's Yelp, Facebook, social media, online ordering sites, even right on down to the Saladino's website as you place orders online with Saladino's, less important on that one, I would agree. But really every guest-facing touch point will be activated right on or about, from a digital standpoint, by February 25th. So there's been I will credit Erin, Katie, Warwick. Jenna's been on board for 4 days, so I'll throw probably more love towards everybody else. They've been cranking on this for a while. But everybody's done a really good job of staying organized, staying on point, and helping to bring a whole lot of work to fruition in very short order so we can start to reap the benefits of communicating to the guest that we are evolving and that we are moving and that there's something positive happening at Round Table. So very excited with that. So we'll turn it over to Katie here, I think at some point, to give us a little glimpse as to one of the big projects, which is website.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So as Jeff and Erin have mentioned, we are so excited about the brand launch and all of the updates that come with that. And one of those includes the launch of the new website. It will launch on February 20th, as Erin mentioned. And Jeff is actually going to click the link and we're going to take you through a live demo of the site. First, reminding you, of course, of where we are today and what our site looks like right now. And then moving forward, as of February 20th, this is what you and the world will see. It is a clean, simple, provides clear direction to our customers on how to navigate through each section. As you can see, it is sticking with the new color scheme of the black and the white with the pops of red. And those pops of red are purposeful. Those are clear call to actions, helping to drive the customer to make an easy decision. You'll see on the homepage here, you've got kind of on the left side, that's where a prominent feature of whatever promotion we might have going. Moving to the right, you've got easy access to find a location. And then right below that, you've got a secondary spot for you to see our classic King Arthur Supreme or whatever secondary promotion might be happening. So this will all change as promotions take place and as different things happen, but it's very clean, it's very simple, it's very directional driven. And then moving to the menu, I do want to say on the homepage first, please note that the images are placeholders. The team has been hard at work the past couple of weeks and into this week with a photo shoot, and we're developing a library of new, beautiful images. So on the site right now, you're seeing placeholder images, so don't be concerned with that. Those will be switched out.
Well, wait till Katie comes back. But or Aaron, if you're there, you can jump in. But the team has been hard to work at what Katie was saying last week and this week, doing
Jeff, I think we might have lost you.
Same, I couldn't hear him.
But what he was saying, I assume is, yes, we have, the team has been hard at work at showing, taking the time to take new photography. It's so important for us to get a new library of images to match this new look that we will be introducing to the world. So we wanted to have updated, new, beautiful images. And this is a sneak peek. They're loading them in as we're taking the photography. So this is a sneak peek of what those new pizza shots will look like. This is the menu page. And as you can see, those red buttons for the call to action stand out so much. But so do the pizzas because they are just beautiful. So we're excited about the launch for this site. To note that also, I think Jeff mentioned it, but online ordering sites will also be reskinned to match the new existing design. There's nothing to worry about there. This is what the locations page will look like. So again, those red call out buttons, very clear, very clean, simple call to actions. You can see the fun little navigation crown topped stores. And then to the about page, you'll see, again, placeholder images, but this just tells the tale of Roundtable, our gold standard ingredients, our recipes, and what's most important to us. So we're excited about this website. It's been a lot of fun to work on. There's still a few things happening, but come February 20th, it will be all ready to go and ready for the world to see. So I'm going to kick it over to Erin and let her talk to you a little bit more about other new things that are happening with Rising Legends.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie. So Katie alluded to the new food photography and B-roll. For the past 2 weeks in Sacramento, the team has been working closely with obviously a larger creative team and photographer and wonderful food stylists to update our library of images. We have reshot and are still this week, Warwick is there right now, shooting every menu item almost. And we're doing wonderful siloed shots as well as beautiful, what we're calling beauty shots like you see now. These are screenshots, so they're a little dark. I want to let you know that. But we are, as we're getting them from the photographer kind of live in Sacramento, we're emailing them to MGH to implement on the new site. So everything is happening at lightning speed behind the scenes to get these beautiful images out. They also will be available on the UMI portal, so you guys will have access to all of these as well. And then this next slide, we're going to show you the new B-roll that we had produced for our commercials for 2019. So again, beautiful videography, great product shots. That cheese pull is amazing. So you'll see this used again and again on commercials. It'll probably be on some digital, some social, but again, kind of just live environmental shots of our product, fresh, new, and again, the great new look really ties in with Rising Legends and the colors and the look and feel there as well. Ooh, very exciting uniforms. So as we continue to kind of go through our existing uniform uniforms that are available at Pacific and the other vendors out there, we will start to roll in these new items as well. These items are just, I'm showing you they're not the final version, where we will be working with the marketing committee and the brand committee to choose our final selections, but we did want to give you a little sneak peek as to kind of the fun things that are out there. Again, I think it just goes back to just very clean, really cool, modern look for these uniforms. And then packaging. Again, I want to note these are not final images, but wanted to give you a sneak peek of kind of the directionally where we're going. Again, we will work with the brand committee on finalizing the packaging options, but really fun, really different, I think just really stand out for the brand. And we will have these finalized here within the next few weeks as well to begin printing, and as we use through existing inventory, these will start to roll into locations as well.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, there's been a ton of work that the team has done, that we've all done to get to this point, and thrilled that the guests will now be able to get a little taste of everything I think we've become so proud of in terms of the direction of the brand. So really, really excited to be able to get to this point. One of the other exciting things is to have somebody like Jennifer Iglesias on our team, who has done so much work for Roundtable over the past years before that too, I should say. But especially over the past year, making a huge impact on cost of goods and improving the economic model. So Jennifer, we asked Jennifer to come on board to give a little update in terms of the supply chain activity, and talk to us a little bit about her thoughts going forward into 2019. So Jennifer, hopefully you can hear us.
Yes, can you hear me?
You can, thank you.
Okay, great. So I'm following all that exciting marketing stuff. That was cool. Okay, so good morning, everyone. This is a slide where we're sharing our cost of sales, where the numbers are coming in at. December, we came in at 19.6% cost of sales, which is pretty much the range that we've been experiencing the past few quarters. Most of you are likely seeing similar numbers. We came down from all of those cost savings projects from the year, so that's pretty much where we netted out. So I want to talk through some of the positive variances that we had and some of the negative variances, at least just in Q4. Some of the positive variances that we had, we got the benefits of the meat market decreases, the pork market decrease, the beef market decrease. We just got past, the typical, the summer barbecues, the Labor Day. So it's pretty much the seasonality of that, which is typical year over year. So for example, the pepperoni, the sausage, the salami, you're going to see all of those prices come down into Q4 and pretty much in Q1 as well. And then the other benefit this Q4 was the stable cheese market. In years past, the cheese market has gone up in Q4, and it didn't happen this year. So it's a pretty stable market. And you might have saw maybe the Romano was flat, but your cheddar might have went down a little bit. So we did definitely benefit from that. As far as negative variances, we had the produce recall. I think that was the biggest hit for us in Q4. It did deplenish a lot of that supply. So those costs went up, gosh, I think it was over 50%. So we felt a little bit definitely in November and December, a little bit in January. It definitely has settled back down. And then another significant increase was the linerboard. We worked hard to get those pizza box costs down. But unfortunately, the linerboard market went up. And I've been told that the largest influence of that market is the online shoppers. It continues to grow. There's more corrugate being used and whatnot. So we did take a cost increase, a slight one. So I think it was in November. And then for 2019, on the next slide. So we just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what we're kind of looking at today. So we just talked about the pizza boxes, and there may be another increase in 2019. It continues with the supply and demand situation. So we're monitoring it. We're hoping that it's not, but the supplier is telling us likely it might happen. And then the cheese Pretty much it's a stable market. All of the forecasts that we're getting in from the experts, they're pretty much pretty in the same ranges that we're in for 2018. We haven't booked our cheese yet still. We did send out a notice, I think, last month about that. We're still working with Saputo's commodity experts, and he's not given us the signal yet to do it, so we're watching it closely. As far as the meats, again, the meats are going to be pretty stable this year. There's not any big factors that are influencing the market. However, we were able to get a better price on our chicken wings, the bone-in chicken wings. So you'll see that lower in about March. You should see that, or late February. And then the dressings, we are doing some reformulations to the dressings, and that notice will come out soon. We're working with Ken's as far as removing some branded ingredients that we had in our formulas and going with some of their stock items. Soybean oil came down, so we will have some lower pricing on the dressings that we've been working on. Well, I should say we, Lisa and team in the R&D side. And the flour markets are really fluctuating a lot. So we are working with Graincraft and trying to maintain where we are today. So we anticipate that our flour pricing will be flat for the year. And then this transportation piece, I have a big deck that I have to read on transportation. There's new regulations, I guess, that's affecting the cost. There's less trucks, less drivers. So that's going to be a biggest influencer for us. And I think that, last year it was all about cost savings projects. We hit, over 40 projects. You guys have already been told about all of those. But this year it's going to be about maintaining those costs. So in this transportation bucket, it's ensuring we're ordering in the right brackets. It's full truckloads whenever possible. And our distributors are really good about it, but anything we can improve, we definitely will. So we'll be diving into that for sure this year. And that's
awesome.
Your high-level summary.
Awesome. Thanks, Jennifer. Appreciate it as always. And I think everybody recognized the hard work that you and Raphael and the entire supply chain teams. Sandra, certainly, I won't leave anybody out, but that have done. So great work, and keep it up.
Thank you.
Actually, keep prices down. I think that's the right way to phrase that. So, and by the way, the first question we have that came in is not a question, it's a comment, and it just simply says, Jennifer is a rock star. So I assume that means you, so we'll throw it out your way, but great job.
Also, thank you.
Yeah. All right. That basically takes us to our open forum session. So there's a lot of information we provided, and certainly, certainly it's bound to spark a few questions. So let's see what we've got. So Warwick, are you on too? I just want to make sure I can get your voice there. And Katie and Aaron, I think, are still with us as well. So Warwick, can you hear us? Or not? I guess Warwick's having a couple of technology challenges. Let's see here. Pull up some questions. Give me 1 second. All right, we'll start at the top and work our way down. The first question is, what percentage of restaurants offer Tuesday night buffet? Great question. I honestly have no idea. I wish I knew, and perhaps it's something we can go follow up on and see if there's a way to go pull that particular data point. Certainly, it is a relative. I would have to believe, just based upon all the restaurants that I've been in and franchisees that I've spoken to, it's a relatively meaningful size of the system. So when we see GEM scores and what have you, and sales being reflected for sales being reflected for the Tuesday kind of spiking there, I have to believe something's connected. So it's that gut feel, but I'm pretty sure it's a meaningful percentage. Next question up is, will we get new photos to use for third-party delivered menus as well? Absolutely. That's a great question, Christina. As Aaron mentioned, those photos are being uploaded as they are digitally polished, or whatever the right phrase is there, into the UMI portal. So yes, those will all be available there. In fact, I believe we're already working with a few partners on that front to make sure that things get loaded up. So great question. Somebody said, I missed the beginning of the webinar. When will it be posted, available for reviewing? We almost always have the webinars posted same day. So as soon as we're done, it kind of has to go through a little process, and then it gets uploaded for viewing. So it should be no question by the end of today. That's typically the time cycle. Got a long question here, so let me just kind of read into it. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Okay, so the first part of the question was the questioning that that we showed the overall year to date we're 2.2% up, but Slice shows 0.04% up for January 2019. Noticeably, our TDC sales do not appear to be reflected on Slice for January to get from 0.4 in January to 2.2 year to date. Kind of questioning the numbers. I won't read through all the rest of the question. So the real reason there is it comes. Let me back up. For sure, data and proper data is a challenge for us. What is on Slice, I have far less confidence in than what I shared on the webinar today. And I will just leave the reasons aside for now, but there's some ways that data is migrated from the two main point of sale systems into Slice, and then how that data is combined, if you will, into a number, and how it's represented on Slice that I have some doubts in and that we've been digging into for quite some time. The 2.2% number that I shared, and the data that Warwick and I worked to put together and we shared on the presentation, was data pulled directly from POSNet stores, pulled directly by POSNet themselves. I do understand POSNet's not a person, but POSNet pulled the data for us directly. We have pretty good confidence that that data is correct in how they pulled it, and that we are comparing comp stores to comp stores. So in other words, we made very clear that if there was missing data from a part in either January or February, that data was yanked out of the equation. So there was about 150 some odd stores, I believe it's 152, represented in that number. So I hope to be able to better refine that data to have even a greater level of confidence. But that's the data that we're pulling today. I just want to be transparent with how it got pulled. So we'll work on that. Where are we with the frozen dough test? That's the next question. So are we scheduled for testing to customers and restaurants in the beginning of March? And if there is no significant labor savings, are we also testing other dough rolling related alternatives that may produce labor savings? So dough press, limiting sizes, et cetera. So great question. Actually right this second, I believe, Lisa Davidson and Jessica Hillman are with a franchisee working with some frozen dough in that franchisee's restaurant, testing it, running through ovens. We are slated to either be in a up to 5-store test the first week of March, as it was previously communicated. So all that being said, the first part of that question is, yes, we are scheduled for testing with customers in the beginning of March. We have worked with the members of the PRDC during our last meeting in January to kind of share with them or at least sample with them the frozen crust, I think, with some pretty good results. But certainly we're taking things, I think, in a methodical, I'll call it slow, but somewhat aggressive manner, just to be responsible with how we test. There's a lot of moving pieces. This is not an easy thing to do, but I am excited to at least work on to get into a small group of stores as a next step, the frozen crust product, in order to get some guest feedback and to see how it performs. So time will tell. We'll see. If there's no significant labor savings, are we also testing other process alternatives? The answer to that question is absolutely yes. So for example, are we testing them actively today? That answer is no. So let me be clear. But are there other things we can test? And the answer is yes. So we certainly can test having the same company make us dough balls or other alternatives that could take steps out of our process in the pursuit of saving labor. So, and we are working with a sense of urgency on that as well. So great questions. When will we have a new flash drive for our menu boards? I know that's not, it's a great question. I know it's on our project list. Erin, not to put you on the spot, but can we give an update on that one?
Sure. We were waiting for the new product photography. Obviously, we wanted to make sure we had those beautiful images. So it isn't a project that has started quite yet. I imagine that I will be able to get that started next week once we have all of the imagery in our library. And then probably just a few weeks after that, we'll have a link that'll be available for franchisees to download. So I would say, mid-March is probably a reasonable timeline to expect to get a new link to download to your flash drive to put on your television screens in store.
Thanks, Erin. There aren't any further questions coming in. I think I missed a question. Part of a question earlier was a lengthy one. The question was about sharing any sales profitability analysis on the current promotion that's out there. We don't have anything for today other than, to look at those same-store sales figures. But we certainly expect to have a full recap and sort of debrief on all of that as we present at the R2A meeting in Vegas, which hopefully everybody will be at on the first part of March 7th, 6th, 5th, whatever that day is, that Tuesday, excuse me. Let's see if any other questions come in. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody's time on the webinar today. We really appreciate all the level of participation. We had a great number of people join today. And I do wish everybody the best, and it's an exciting time to be a part of the brand, and I'm thrilled to be getting some of these project points that have been out there for a while into the system and in front of customers. So have a great day. Have a happy Valentine's Day. And if somebody can make it stop snowing in the Pacific Northwest and through Chico and Redding, that would be awesome. So pull a few strings if you've got to. But everybody have a great day, and we'll all talk soon. Take care. Bye-bye.